can't get you out of my mind. It's like I feel it for the first time. Been thinking about you all night. I've been searching for this all my life.
All right, guys, we are in the car. It is 11. We have an 11:30. How long is it gonna take us to get over there?
30 minutes. Nah, like, I don't know, 15 minutes, 10 minutes.
We have an 11:30 walking tour that we are finally doing. And this is the Little Havana walking tour. So I didn't have a chance to look up any facts about it. I wanted to look up facts because y'all know how I like to do. But in the meantime, we're just going to go. We're going to see what we see. And I might come back and hit you with the facts after the fact. And we paying a lot for this tour. It was like, it came to $119 for 2 people.
You ain't get me, have some good beverages.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, a lot of times I prefer the free tour because with the free tours, you tip them at the end. And so a lot of times you get a more entertaining tour because they know that their tips are dependent on it. Sometimes when you pay for the tours up front, it can be hit or miss. Maybe. But it is what it is.
I would have gave you a free tour plus no tip.
No, I want people who know what they're talking about. And
I know what I'm talking about. Okay?
So we gonna go, we gonna see, we gonna learn some good old fun Cuban facts. And this tour actually comes with samples and stuff, so we'll be able to sample some of the cuisine, and I'm excited. So we are here at the infamous Calle Ocho. I don't know if it's infamous, it just felt like the right thing to say.
You know, my goal here is to keep you very well informed, very well fed, and today as comfortable and as dry as possible. Some of us don't need too much help. Okay, so thank you for your attention. We're going to start walking just a little further up, okay?
Guys, so we are beginning our tour, and I am already impressed by all the food that we're going to get to try. So far, sounds like it's worth the price.
Where's my shit? But this is Molina. What I love about Molina is he's very well known. His little niche is to paint orishas. And orishas are part of Santeria. I don't know how much you guys know about Santeria, but here locally in Miami, it's very big on it. It's very normal, I would say, or culturally very accepted. Because the story really is from when the Africans made it over to Cuba, and they still wanted to worship their gods. They weren't allowed because of the Catholic presence and Catholic, you know, if you were not Catholic, anything else was not allowed. So they were very, very strict on that. So what they started to do, very clever, they started to disguise their gods within the Catholic saints. And those are called orishas. And I'm telling you, there's hundreds of them, male, female. And all of them are very symbolic to whichever, whether it's travel, love, heartbreak, all these different items. But this artist is known to paint the individual orishas. Now, Miami is on the map for this because we have a large Haitian community and a large Brazilian community. So when you put those all together, there's stores that are called Ventanitas. You can drive anywhere from Key West all the way up to Pompano Beach. When you see those stores, Ventanitas, you know that they're from those who practice Santeria, Voodoo, Macumba, all these different sort of, the Brazilians are Macumba, the Haitians have Voodoo, but it's very common here. Just to add to that, I grew up with many, many Cuban friends of mine, and some of them were Catholic. And every Sunday, they never missed church. But guess what? They still had their favorite orisha. An aunt, a cousin, somebody was involved and knew. So they always have their favorite or that kind of necessity. It's very much part of the culture here, okay? So Molina, if you want to know a little bit more about Santeria, this is the person I run to when I'm like, okay, what does this one mean? Francisco is the official peanut man of Little Havana. He's the manicero. But you see how proud he is? This is unheard of in Miami, maybe back home too. He went and got a permit. He's the only one officially with a permit allowed to sell peanuts in the city of Miami. But what you'll hear him say throughout our tour, he'll be, you know, this is what he does since the morning all the way until the afternoon. Francisco, decime lo que vos siempre pedís.
Maní, pina, cacahuete $1, organic peanut $1 only. Eat the peanut, be happy. No peanut, no people happy.
Organic
peanut $1.
You guys have $1, pull it out. I'm telling you, these are delicious. But I will say this. He says they're organic peanuts, and I always say, you guys, I say, why are they organic? And he says,
Thank you.
¿Por qué son
He
organic?
roasted the peanut.
Because he roasts the peanuts.
$1.
Now, I say to him, he says they're Cuban. And I go, Señor, why are they Cuban? ¿Por qué son cubanos?
Mi Cuba.
Because he's Cuban. But you see the rooster inside Little Havana Visitor Center. That rooster is called the wet-foot, dry-foot rooster. And it's incredibly interesting to me that the story behind it. Has anybody heard of that? Wet-foot, dry-foot law. It only implies to the Cuban national. When Cubans make it over to U.S. soil, they automatically get processed as a political refugee, and their sort of road to becoming a citizen is incredibly red carpet. If you're Haitian, if you're Argentine, if you're anything else, back to your country. But the Cubans, red carpet. That's why they sacrifice so much just to get over here. And of course, we're 90 miles away, so obviously, on a good windy day, they get here quick. And that's why some people do take that risk. But I'll tell you what happens. When Obama was president, things started to really loosen up, And, people are flying back and forth, the celebrities are there, and it becomes like kind of the understanding is like, wow, things are changing. So guess what happens? A lot of Cubans started to freak out. They said, okay, this cushy law that we have is really going to be taken, it could be taken away from us. We might not need it. It'll be different. We're going to be treated like everybody else. So thousands upon thousands risked their life, even more so. Disaster, many lost their lives. But 2 days before Obama left office, he terminated that bill. Very interesting. So now it's an even playing field. No longer does that law exist, the wet foot, dry foot. I grew up seeing that firsthand. Little raps. I mean, you could imagine how Americans, we'll run in the water, we'll help them get through. It's a felony.
Now, did you say why that was? Why did Cubans get this preferential treatment as far as coming over?
There was an agreement. It was called the Helms Act in the 80s. They did little different changes. They kind of they did some amending because before they used to sink the boats. Now they bring them in. And think about the 80s when the U.S. government was after the Cuban government. Let your people be free. Let your people were dying, and they're like, just let them come. So Castro goes, okay, I'll let them, no problem. He let the insane asylums, the jails, and that's the Mariel boat lift was that.
Oh, wow.
But not to mention, a lot of very educated, nice families were put in that with rapists, murderers. So that's when Miami crime started to happen in the 80s. Because before that, there was no crime here. And guess where they all came? Little Havana.
Wow.
I'm glad you asked that because I don't really share that because, it's all positivity now because they really cleaned it up. So, guys, I wanted to just tell you a little bit about the importance here of the cigar stores that you're going to see all over Little Havana. They started in the southern Spain in the Islas Canarias, where many of those families were actually involved in the tobacco industries. But when they went to Cuba, because they were following the best soil in the world, the best tobacco in the world, they continued to do what they've always done. But when they fled Cuba, they took with them that Cuban seed, which is now being planted in the Dominican Republic, in Nicaragua, other places you've probably heard, but this particular brand, Nicaragua and the Dominican Republic. When those leaves come, this is where they actually do the product. Master roller means 20 years plus. She earlier has gathered some tobacco leaves and put them really close to her hand. That's the filler. There's another strand that's called the binder. Once that is completed, and it's basically looks like a cigar but unfinished, they're put in these molds that they just sit behind her. They'll stay there for a couple of hours, sometimes overnight. When they come back out, and that's what she's doing now, she finishes it with a wrapper. The wrapper is a very, very fragile, outside leaf. She wraps the cigar, as they say, and then she'll put a little tip at the end. You might be able to see, for those of you a little closer, she's doing it right now. She just used her fingertips to take some glue. And the glue just kind of puts a little cap on the top, on the end of the cigar. And then she'll cut it. That glue is a root vegetable. It has no scent, it has no flavor. It is ideal and perfect for cigars.
So you see, right here is a huge cigar in this case. And in first thought, it was like, okay, this is a nice little tourist statement piece, but no. They said when Castro dies, the goal was they were going to light and smoke this cigar. And then, let me show this. And boom, here you have it. Castro died, they lit the cigar. Wow.
Hola. Sí, gracias. Guys, what I want you to do is take a visual of the Ventanita. These little windows are called Ventanitas. They are the heartbeat of Miami. This is where we can order a colada, which I'm going to tell you what that is, or an empanada, Cuban sandwich, to go. But I'm going to tell you the ingredients are going to be chicken. But the peppers, the onions, the garlic, oregano, very traditional Spanish sort of seasoning. Not spicy. You're going to have like a Tabasco bottle, next to you, always available, or like a little hot sauce made at home. See, no problema. But you see this milky top? That's when you know it's fresh and perfect for us.
That empanada was so good. Next up is the colada.
This has less caffeine. The stronger the roast, less caffeine. And so that's why you sort of have the Italians and French drinking this all day long. At midnight, the old men are smoking cigars and drinking Cuban coffee.
So guys, right now we are in Old Havana, where we will try the mojitos. Oh yeah.
We say a big salud, right? Salud. What?
Salud. Oh my goodness, yes. Guys, this is a whole full drink. So this alone is worth the price of this ticket. And then look at this.
One, two, 20, wait, 30.
And what's so special about this McDonald's? It is actually where the McCafe, adding a little milk to the coffee, was invented. Why? Because they couldn't figure out why weren't coffee selling in Little Havana. Bam. McDonald's for life. McDonald's for life.
So guys, what we're gonna do is I'm gonna bring the croquetas right here, but this croqueta is called croqueta de bacalao, which is cod. This is fish, not any shellfish. Bacalao is cod, and it's salted cod that they reconstitute. It's a very traditional. You're also getting a bottled water that you can have with you because you'll need it for the next stop as well. But you guys, bacalao, if you go through the Caribbean, anywhere in Latin America, cod is very, it's a staple. It's very labor intensive. If anybody grew up in a Latin Caribbean household, bacalao was a staple.
Guys, this is so good. I'm very happy with this tour.
I don't think we're going to eat my mom's
Okay, guys, gotta be about Miami. It's a meal that is roasted pork, but not just any roasted pork. They marinate it in mojo, which is sour orange, garlic, oregano, cumin. There's a lot going on there. Now, there's going to be ham, Swiss cheese, pickles, mustard on the Cuban bread. Then put it in a sandwich press, and it becomes this perfect sandwich. When you are eating a Cuban sandwich in Miami, and not to mention Little Havana, you're eating the best Cuban sandwich in the world. I mean, I'm telling you, because it has to do with the bakery. The bread The Cuban bread is very hard to find when you leave Miami. Bakeries are the essential part of this, also the roasted pork. Because it's a family. It's like a home recipe. Everybody roasts their pork. Doesn't matter if you're in a little place like this. No, well, that's a great observation. So,
Oh, this is the
okay, ladies and gentlemen, come grab your guarapo. The flavor of Miami, besides the Cuban coffee and the cigar, is the guarapo. Now look, this is an acquired taste.
this is good.
Is this what it's called?
It's like the sugarcane water. This is the sugarcane water.
Sugarcane juice. You see
Yeah,
how
the
Guillermina put
yes.
the sugarcane? All it is? See that little tin?
Yep.
That's all it is. Pure sugarcane juice. Now this starts oxidizing after maybe 10 minutes, so we always like it fresh. We feed it a can or something like that, no way. There's no way we're drinking that. But it's very nutritious. As a matter of fact, it's good for your liver, so that's what I'm always with you guys drinking my guarapo. All right, let's go to Cuba Memorial Boulevard, right next door. Now, in the 30s, there was a large Jewish migration, and this was predominantly Jewish. And then 1959, 60, that's when the Cubans started to migrate here, and rather quickly it becomes Little Havana. Remember the changes that I told you? Now it's a big melting pot, but that's why it was Little Havana. So, I was leading to the story about the people that lived here before, because this family, originally, this fruit stand was here when the Bahamians were here, owned by the Bahamians. Then a Jewish family owned it, and now this family has owned it for over 55 years. The dad, you just met Guillermina, who pressed our sugarcane juice for us. Angel is his son, but their father was part of the Bay of Pigs. He actually partook in the Bay of Pigs. The Bay of Pigs, the failed attempt, U.S.-backed CIA, along with the Cuban exiles, they came up with a plan to wipe out Castro. Didn't necessarily go as planned. I mean, listen, we don't get too political on this tour, but that's a big deal here. That the Cuban, the elders, they still will not let that go. Okay, so that way they're very passionate about being very anti-Castro and very Republican, for lack of, So when you hear that, I think, when you hear what's going on in Miami, that the Latinos voting
For
what's going on over there? They don't get it.
It's the
Well, guess
Republican
what?
thing.
They don't mess around. They will not let that go. They will not. And I'm talking about the elders. We have a melting pot of Latinos here now that feel very differently. But I just want to tell you, that's why when you hear that they're so pro-Trump, it's because of that. They know that the Republicans have their back when it comes to anti-communism and their stance, their really tough stance against Castro. This here, there's always a big flame here to honor 122 names that did not survive. I mean, because I've met many who partook in this, and they said, "Señorita, my name isn't here because I lived." Okay? If your eye follows all the way down, you'll see the Sevia tree, very important in the Native American cultures as well. It's a sacred tree in other cultures, but here in the community, it's common to see Santeria practices over there. I don't like to go so close, but you never know. I forgot to show you the shirt.
I like it. I like it.
Look at this.
All right, I'm not going to twerk, all right?
Twerk.
I twerk.
But that is an official Guayabera shirt. I'm going to tell you all about it in front of the other store that they own across the street. Remember that the guy was wearing one? It's very common for gentlemen to look. You see this polyester one? This is a classic, everyday Guayabera. But I'll explain, what happens is and this is in Cuba, there was a farmer, a guava farmer, guayaba. And the wife said, "Bring me back some guava." And every time he'd come back, they'd be like bruised because he couldn't hold them. So she sewed some pockets for his guava. As it continues, this shirt needs pockets for cigars. As it continues, it needs to be more breathable they put buttons. Usually it's 3 is the classic for the machete. And when you turn it around, remember the pleated that you saw looks like a Cuban flag. So everything starts to become very, very classic, Cuban shirt. Roberto's story, he was a little kid in Cuba, poor, he was helping a very wealthy individual move. He knew that at the end, the man was going to give him something. Well, at the end, when he goes to collect his little bit of money, the owner gives him a painting. And Roberto goes, what am I going to do with this? I can't eat this. He goes, young man, this is a very valuable painting. This is more than I could ever give you. And so he takes it and he walks around and he tries to sell it. No one is interested. Until someone says to him, no, you do have a very important painting, but this is worth nothing here. You need to take it with you when you go to America. He thinks about it. And throughout the next couple of years, he starts, basically learning more about this art. It turns out that he's finally big enough to take that risk and come to the States when he's on his boat, a little makeshift boat, and he's on his way over, 3 days at sea, thinking that's it, I'm not going to make it. The Coast Guard sees him and picks him up. And he says, you need to come with us because we're going to sink, we need to sink your boat or raft. And Roberto says, I'm an art collector. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going wherever my raft goes. And you could imagine U.S. Coast Guard going, dude, your lips are parched, you haven't had water in 3 days, you're delirious. Let's just say the Coast Guard allowed him to be towed in. When Roberto gets onto, comes to shore, he cannot believe that he has rights. He says it was the most amazing feeling he's ever had in his whole life. And guess what? Because he's read his Miranda rights. Can you imagine when you start thinking about you have the right to remain silent? He goes, what? Right? When it was translated, he was like, he couldn't believe it.
Yeah, right.
The deal is that all this art, he made it his mission to find the artists that were absolutely wiped out of historical books in the museum of the Havana National Museum. Those paintings were taken down, thrown on the street, burned. These amazing artists, because when Castro came into power, it was no longer art, it was a necessity or something that they were going to be passing up. It was either Castro with a cigar on a horse, or it wasn't art. So imagine, religion, art, music, everything was really multifaceted.
So these are all Cuban artists?
All Cuban artists, and I think now there's a Dominican somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a Dominican somewhere.
It's so interesting because you see a lot of Picasso-like.
Listen, in the 50s and 60s, there were many famous Cubans that went to Paris. When you think of Cubism, even though that's not Cuba, there's a lot that went there that had that kind of modern take. The kinetic style of art, Venezuela, Soto. There's a lot of connections in that time period. They were hanging out with Picasso.
Yeah.
Very much influenced.
Yeah. Azúcar. Ooh.
Azúcar. So that's how you cruise on the wall here.
Oh.
So you guys were at Azúcar ice cream, and we're going to have Abuela Maria. I picked the flavor for us because it's too important. This is Maria cookies. You know those little kind of tea biscuits that are
Maria
not so sweet?
cookies.
Guava, cream cheese, the perfect combination.
Thank you. So we just finished up our tour with Miami Culinary Tours.
Hello.
And this is our tour guide, Miracle.
Hi.
Oh my goodness, this was much more than I have expected.
I'm so glad. It means a lot to us to have you here. I had so much fun, and that's what makes it so much more special.
So much fun. If I would have walked Calle Ocho by myself, I would not have had the eye to see everything that you showed us.
I'm thrilled.
The history, the people in the window just rolling cigars, that would have passed by me. The food was great everywhere we went.
So
you
glad.
are such a pleasure.
Thank you.
It's so much knowledge, and I love history, and I just love all of that. Thank you so
I'm
much.
so glad. I know we're going to see you more and more. So keep on coming.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
So there you have it, guys. Don't forget to thumbs up, subscribe if you're not already a member. Check out, and I'm going to leave her information in the link in the description below where you can find this tour and hopefully Miracle.
Thank you.
As your tour guide.
Can't wait to see you guys.
Yes.
Be safe.
I can't get you out of my mind. It's like I feel it for the first time. Been thinking about you all night. I've been searching for this all my life. You're just